Hi friends, it's Angel. Welcome back. Today we're going to jump right into a Magnolia inspired room refresh. Let's start. The laundry room has been on my to-do list for quite some time. There was nothing wrong with it as far as form and function, but I did think it lacked a little bit of character. Everyone enters our home through this space. No one uses the front door, well, except for the FedEx man and the Amazon delivery person. But I really wanted this area to just have a bit more character and reflect what individuals would find upon entering our home. But I wanted to do it on a budget. The first two items we changed in this space were the sconces on the hanging light, and John added in a piece of crown molding to the top of the cabinetry. That helped in and of itself, but I wanted just a little bit more. This is the view as you come from our garage into our utility room. You can see that even though it's clean and functional, it just doesn't have a lot of character, and it was a little bland. Also, our garage door needed a good coat of paint. As you can see, it had had some repair done to it. So as I thought about this space, I really wanted to add more pattern, some more textures, and just a little bit more decorative functionality in this space altogether. But I still wanted to incorporate my DIY and thrifted items. Pinterest never fails to have all kinds of wonderful ideas. Initially, I thought that I wanted to add stone to the backsplash behind the cabinets. But after thinking that through, I wondered if dirt and lint would get accumulating on that stone and make it hard to clean. So I opted for something different. One thing I did know from my Pinterest boards and Magnolia is I love this green color on her Corine reeded nightstand. I wanted to try to replicate that for the color in our cabinetry. So the first things I set about doing were removing the hardware and the cabinet doors and giving everything a light scuff sand. I used a pre-mixed paint that I already had from 2022. I apologize, the footage was corrupted of me actually painting these cabinets. But what I did was rolled on to each cabinet door and the boxes one coat of the custom paint. After that dried, I brushed on a very liberal coat of Jacobine Minwax stain and then wiped off the excess with a clean towel. And you can see it really warmed up the custom paint, and I think I got pretty close to the Magnolia color that I was looking for. And let this cure. This is not the first time I've done this type of treatment in painting, and I have to say that it lasts very well and wears fantastic. You can see that it gives it almost a glazed look to the painted wood. The next area that I wanted to tackle was some type of a wall treatment. After ruling out the stone, I tossed around different types of picture rail molding or wainscoting, but then I finally settled on looking for a wallpaper. I have used peel and stick wallpaper in another area in our home, and I was really happy with the results. So I headed over to Magnolia for some inspiration, and Joanna never disappoints. I absolutely love the Gwendolyn wallpaper. The colors were subtle, and it was just a beautiful traditional type pattern that I thought would go well in our home. Hers comes in a double roll for $140, and it is pre-pasted wallpaper. I needed something that was peel and stick, so I headed to Amazon, and I was thrilled when I found this Magnolia peel and stick wallpaper. The pattern was similar to the Gwendolyn, as well as the colors that I had selected. We have textured walls in our home, but I have used this same brand and type of wallpaper with success. So I was all in. Once I received the wallpaper, I took everything out of the laundry room and removed the outlet covers, things like that, to make sure that I had an open space. If you're hanging this type of wallpaper by yourself for the first time, be sure that you start with a really straight line. You can't see it in this picture, but I'm using a laser level. And the reason I started to the corner of this door was because this was the truest point in the room, and I wanted to make sure that I got a nice straight line to move over with this pattern. The best way to do this is start with a little excess at the top where the ceiling and the wall meet, drop down, and then pull off that backing slowly as you move down the wall. Once you've smoothed that out, I'm simply using a straight edge plastic spatula type of tool to move all of those air bubbles over to the outside of the wall, and then to give myself a straight line along the baseboard to cut that excess off. I just continue to slowly but surely make my way around the room one piece at a time, making sure that I really matched up the pattern as close as possible. I have never had shrinkage in this type of wallpaper, but I would say probably give yourself a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch overlap. That way, if you do have any type of shrinkage or movement of this paper, you will not see the paint color of the wall coming through the gap in the wallpaper, if that makes sense. Once I had all of those air bubbles moved over and the outlet covers back on, I continued to cut the excess off as I moved along. This is really important. Make sure you have a very sharp X-Acto knife and change that blade frequently to make sure that you can get a nice, clean, precise cut as you're removing the excess. With the wallpaper up, I moved on to our garage door. This is such an easy upgrade, and shame on me for not having done it sooner, because it was probably one of the biggest things that made an impact. The door really needed some repair from some dings in it and just a good cleaning and a coat of paint. So that's exactly what we did. John used some Bondo to repair, because this is a steel exterior door. And then after that had been sanded down, I simply went about giving it a good clean with some crud cutter, and then I began painting it with an exterior paint in white. When I paint any kind of paneled door that has these small squares, that's what I mean by paneled, I use a small brush initially, and I carefully paint all of those little squares in first. What this does is this gives you a good smooth coat of paint, and it helps to eliminate any running. Then after I've done that, I go back in with a smooth roller brush and do the insides of the squares and then all around the perimeter. This really gives you a nice professional look and coat on your paint, and you don't see any brush marks. So I went through and did this, giving the door a good 2 coats of paint, and wow, did it really make a difference. The other area that I wanted to address was some type of a shelf above the washer and dryer. Previously we had this wood one, and then at some point I covered it with this faux marble looking contact paper from Dollar Tree, and it gave it a great new look. But as we were moving to do this refresh, I knew that I wanted something a little different. I did not want the flat wood shelf, but I wanted something more three-dimensional that looked kind of organic with a rustic feel to it. So when I came across this inspiration photo, of course I showed it to the other half of this channel, John, and he set about cutting strips of lumber off of this dunnage wood that we had outside. He glued it to the previous board. I sanded it down and stained it a fruitwood color, and it turned out amazing. Magnolia's beautiful vintage floral artwork is stunning, but it can come with a steep price tag. So after looking at all of the beautiful inspiration, I wondered if I might not be able to recreate something similar on my own. If you remember, a few weeks back I thrifted these, or rather purchased from a vintage shop I should say, these fabric stamps, and they were actually used in this fashion to make prints on fabric. So I thought, what if I couldn't recreate something similar to do my own artwork? So I watered down some black acrylic paint, and I dipped or pressed that vintage pattern into the watered down paint. And then I'm simply using here what's like resume paper. It's a heavy linen paper in a cream color, and I simply stamp that on there, and I got this really beautiful, unique pattern from the press that we had purchased. So I made 2 or 3 of these just so that I could get a really good look at the pattern and have a nice one to choose from to frame. Another item that I came across and I thought would be perfect to DIY for our room refresh were these stems at Hobby Lobby. They had originally been $12.99 each, but were clearance down to $3.74. So I picked up 2. Each one of these had 3 stems attached to them, and I liked them because they were droopy. They had a lot of movement to them, and I liked these little seed or berry pods that it was trying to emulate. So I brought those home and I separated all 6 of those smaller stems off of the one large stem just to give myself a little bit more quantity for what I was wanting to use these for. And because I wanted just a little bit more of a muted tone on these seed or berry pods, I got out my antiquing wax and my stippling brush and just began to dab on in varied areas around the pods to mute the color a little bit. It wasn't a lot, and I did not always reload the brush with wax, but I just wanted them to have a more natural feel of what seeds or berries hanging off of a vine would look like as they begin to age. You could do this same thing with a brown acrylic paint that you had watered down if you don't have antiquing wax. Another area that I addressed with the antiquing wax were the stems. Some of the stems did have a wood look to them, but others were very faux plasticky green color, and I didn't care for that. So I just dabbed some of that antiquing wax right on top of the green stem, and it really muted it down and gave it more of a wood look. You can do this on any type of a stem that you want to have more of a natural wood look to it, and it does help quite a bit and gives it a nice color. Once those stems had dried, I placed them into a hanging basket that I had put 2 pieces of floral foam in the bottom. I just wanted to elevate those stems a little bit because I wanted the majority of them to hang out of the side of the basket. Quick project update. A few months ago, John and I thrifted some cabinets that we turned into a custom bar in our formal living room. And on our wish list was a beautiful mirrored backsplash. We didn't install it at the time, but after searching Facebook Marketplace, I came across these custom beveled mirrored tile for $1 a piece. Now for the best part of our room refresh, the decorating. One of the first elements that I wanted to add in this area, because there is no natural light that comes into this laundry room, was a small lamp for ambient lighting. I elevated this tiny lamp with a scalloped wicker shade onto coffee table books. I love coffee table books for both decorative purpose and for functionality. I read these. I would encourage you to thrift for these to try to pick them up because they serve dual purpose. I'm also adding in here a marble scalloped small tray. This is for all of those little things we find in the pockets like keys and chains. Then to the side of the lamp, I'm adding in my Thrifted Magnolia Raven pot. This is still available on her website for $64, but I thrifted mine several months back for $15. I love the Julian wall sconces, but they can be quite pricey at $34 a piece. So a while back, I found these 2 very similar wall sconces at Hobby Lobby for $7.99. At the time, they only came in gold and I spray painted them black, but they are now available in either gold or black. Adding in 2 timered battery operated LED candles just adds a warm glow as well in the evening. Another wonderful look for a whole lot less. To continue to keep things collected and gathered in this small space, I added in an oval wicker tray. I then placed all of our dryer balls into this scalloped travertine bowl. If you've noticed a theme here, I'm trying to repeat these same scallop and materials throughout the space. I then placed beside that a repurpose container that had linen spray in it for spray and wash, just so it looked a bit more aesthetically pleasing, and then put our essential oils right to the side. Another one of my favorite items is this hanger caddy that's magnetic that goes on the side of your dryer. It's exceptional for small spaces and keeps the hangers out of sight. Once our artwork had dried, I framed that up in a frame that I had thrifted a few weeks back with a homemade black matting from poster board purchased at Dollar Tree. These glass jars are a perfect addition for all of our everyday laundry items. These types of things you can find at the thrift store routinely. I see them out all the time. Another item that we DIY'd a while back was a Magnolia inspiration tissue box. If you remember, ours was silver, and with a couple coats of paint, we brought it to life for our dryer sheets. The final thing to add in the room was our basket full of faux painted stems. I chose to hang this by a command hook on the door. It's clear, which eliminates kind of that obtrusive look of something metal hanging the basket, as well as it doesn't damage the door. And the final little detail, because it is in the details, is this faux moss that I've added to the top of the basket. It just gives it a completed look, and I think the faux stems turned out very nice. So now that all of our DIYs are done, let's look back at where we started. We started out with a perfectly good, functional utility room that had everything we need: storage, shelving, lighting, and a washer and dryer. But what we were missing was personality and character for a space that all of our friends and family enter through. So now let's look at where all of our hard work and DIYs got us in the end. Building a home takes time. It takes DIYing, thrifting, and patience. I hope this video has encouraged you that things can be collected and used until they find their final resting place in that location you always dreamed. Never give up, and always remember, stay on the journey as we continue making our way home. Until next time, bye-bye.